It is Wednesday, October 9th. Can you believe it? And
I
we are
cannot.
on, you literally cannot believe it.
I
We
cannot
are on
believe
the
it.
cusp. We are on the cusp of the October international fixtures coming up. Teams have come into camp. There's been some changes here and there. So, long ball number one, uh, our new coach, new era is starting. Tanner Tessman, Zendejas, and Brandon Vasquez have been added to the United States roster. How does this affect the team, and how do you feel about the changes?
Well, I mean, first, it's worth noting that they are replacing injured guys who are leaving the team, and that's not great. You don't want there to be guys who can't play in this window, even if it's friendlies, even if it is CONCACAF opponents that you know very well, because it's Pochettino's first crack at this as head coach. But yeah, with Balogun, Weah, and Cardoso out, now it is, as you mentioned, those three guys who come in, Tespins and Dejas and Vasquez. And I have things about each one of those players I like on some level, Robert. Tanner Tessman, I think has played well in Italy. Now he is in France with Lyon. There is some question over what his status at Lyon is right now. I think if you're out there on the interwebs following Americans abroad, you will see that he got a start and then he didn't make the team the next week at all. Didn't make the bench. Didn't get to dress, and that is concerning. I think there are some quotes floating around about Tanner Tessman that are hard. They're in French, and I'll admit I took 3 years of high school French, but I don't speak much of it. Un peu de français. Uh,
Is that French for a smidge?
it's French for something. It's French for a little tiny bit, I guess. This is the best I can do translation wise. Tanner is experiencing something that others have experienced before him, and behind that, they scored, and played 90 minutes. So there is not necessarily a tomorrow for that. See, again, this is where the translation starts to break down. The idea is not to be in a logic of repression, but rather of performance. Even a player who has had a bad match, even a player who arrived late, even a player who has shown that he is not happy, we can expect him to have a good match the next one, and that is what we expect. It seems like Tanner got himself in trouble. Like, I don't know if Tanner was out past curfew. I don't know if Tanner, TP'd the coach's house or something. Like, I don't know what Tanner did and get himself in trouble. But it seems like something happened between a start and not making the squad that has led people to wonder what it might be like when he goes back. But getting a call for the national team is a recognition of his progress. Johnny Cardoso ahead of him, clearly. Otherwise, Tanner would have been on this team in the first place. But hey, you take your shot when you get your shot, and it looks like he's going to have one. Zendejas is a player who's confounding to me. I mean, he's very good on the ball. He's probably better through the middle. He doesn't really have a place in the middle for the U.S. men's national team with the way the United States has played in the past. Maybe that changes under Pochettino, but I kind of doubt it. He seems more like an option off the bench than anything else. And Brandon Vasquez, I hate to say this because I like Brandon Vasquez as a player. He's always seems like a good guy. But if he was good enough for the national team, he'd be getting called up ahead of guys like Haji Wright or Ricardo Pepi or whoever. And, I don't think it's about the league he plays in because the Mexican League is solid. And we're going to talk later about some quotes that Pochettino had about MLS players in the U.S. men's national team picture. So I don't know. Vasquez is a big-bodied player at that spot. We don't have a ton of those. So maybe he does bring something different. But also Pochettino's a guy who wants his forward line to be pressers and to be defenders. And I don't know if I see that out of Vasquez.
No, not at all. I mean, he is more of a peripheral player, you say?
For the U.S. men's national team, Brandon
Yeah.
Vasquez? Yeah, I mean, I think there's a very good chance he doesn't see the field at all over 2 games against Panama and Mexico. I mean, I think it's possible that even with Balogun out, that Vasquez as a replacement on the roster is there just to, he's just a body. He's just somebody to be there in training more than anything else. Otherwise, I imagine Pochettino would have called him up in the first place. I think Pepe is clearly ahead of him, and I think Josh Sargent's clearly ahead of him. And I think that if we talk about who might benefit most from Balogun missing out, I would say that is probably going to be Josh Sargent, who is a more well-rounded forward than pretty much anybody else in the pool. Injuries have slowed his ability to become a first choice kind of player. Obviously, he was at the World Cup, and that was all messy at the forward position for Greg Berhalter. We'll see, but I have a sneaking suspicion that Pochettino is going to give Sargent a very, very good look in this camp.
The team has been with their brand new coach just for a day or two now. There's already, new coach quotes coming out from the player, Anthony Robinson, already saying the training feels a little bit more intense under the new coach.
Yeah? Okay.
I'd hope so. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
I'd hope
I don't
so,
want.
but is that just like boilerplate for a player,
Probably.
entering
Probably.
a camp with a new coach?
Well, I think it can be two things. It can be Jedi Robinson blowing some smoke because that's what you do when a new boss shows up. You blow some smoke, right? Hey, boss, you're doing such a great. That's so good for us. And talk to the media. Oh yeah, of course. This boss is the best boss. I want to be playing for him. I mean, this is something that is sort of natural in human nature. I saw this from a Watke on Twitter that I thought was pretty funny. Early indications are Pochettino is focusing on getting us to try harder. It seems like a good strategy that in hindsight we probably should have thought of ourselves. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where we're at, right? That we've got a team that now will try a little harder. Now, I mean, look,
trying is a redeemable quality in this sport.
It's important to try hard. And look, I do think it's extremely reductive and rather ridiculous that we boiled everything down at the end of the Berhalter regime to, these guys don't try hard because they're so comfortable. They're so complacent because they're so comfortable. And Greg is too buddy with them. And nobody feels like they have to play for their place in the team. I think it's extremely reductive to put all of our problems on that one thing, even if there was some truth and something in evidence that some of that was happening. But just by it, this is why the new manager bounce happens, right? In club football. It's why we talk about why teams seem to get better right after they fire a coach and bring somebody in. Do you know why? Because everybody's trying hard to impress the new guy. And there's a little bit of that. And it depends on, whether or not it lasts is obviously up to the manager and up to the focus of the players. And sometimes when we see it in club football, it's gone in 2 or 3 games. This needs to be something that is a regular feature of the U.S. men's national team. So, Watke's sarcasm aside, there is hopefully something to this. And Jedi Robinson, again, isn't just blowing smoke and trying to impress the new boss. He is speaking to something that really is in evidence, something that really is happening on the training field.
I'm tempted to do a bad Scouse accent here for Jedi Robinson, but maybe I'll try.
He doesn't have a Scouse accent. He's from London. What are you talking about? He's not from Liverpool, is he? Jedi Robinson? What's going on, Robert?
I might be getting that mixed up, but definitely an English accent.
Sure.
Usually the lads are getting in on Monday or getting in on Sunday and training on Monday.
The man was born in Milton Keynes.
Straight into it and training.
Milton Keynes. So I don't know where he grew up, but born in Milton Keynes, which is like the planned community of England that everybody hates on.
It is definitely not Scouse, so omit that from the record.
Came through Everton's academy, so I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe there's something to. I never thought of his accent.
He's got a touch of Scouse. He's got a touch of it.
Got a touch of Scouse. Got it. Okay.
And he says usually the lads get in on a Monday or getting in on Sunday after playing on Saturday, and you're not doing too much, just a little bit of recovery on the bike. But yesterday we were kind of just straight into it with a tough session, so we were kind of right away. We are here to work.
Okay. I mean, again, it's all boilerplate, standard operating procedure. New boss is in. You try really hard to impress him. He's got to, he's going to try to impress the players as well. Like he's going to try to put them through their paces so he can get a read on how they're going to respond to him. I mean, you don't have a lot of time here, right? This isn't a 3-week camp. You've got a couple of training sessions or a handful of training sessions before a match on Saturday in Austin against Panama. You might as well burn them hard. Maybe run them out there. Do something, do something intense to see what response you get.
As a reminder, if anyone is planning to watch Saturday in Austin at 9:00 against Panama, and then a few days later in Guadalajara against Mexico.